I'm just here to introduce a little concept today. The topic today is health as civic responsibility and breaking down why potentially your health is actually a very important dimension of your political responsibility. And it feels very important to talk about right now, considering the state of the world, considering all the craziness happening everywhere. And it's not something that we necessarily need to shy away from, but what if we try to look at it maybe from a different angle, from a different perspective? I think a lot of people are feeling really helpless across the collective world, everywhere in the world. I think people are feeling the pain and the suffering of many, are feeling insecurity, are feeling fear, and all of these uncomfortable emotions for many people are leaving them in a space of helplessness and feeling stuck and feeling like their small bodies or small voices or small vision or whatever doesn't make a contribution. But it's only small when you think it's small, because if you feel like the power of each move you make will have lasting ripple effects and will echo and will move things across continents, it can do that, right? And looking at health as an element of your political responsibility, I think, is actually very liberating and very freeing, because because then it puts us in a place where there's actually maybe potentially, if we just go along this line of thinking for a little bit, that maybe there is something I can do from where I'm at that will make a lasting impact for the whole world, right? And that's take care of yourself and take care of your health. Because the healthier we are as a population, as a whole planet, we will see this reflected in everything. If we take healthier care, if we take better care of our bodies and are in balance and just understand the rhythms of nature and not try to fight against nature, but try to go with nature. First of all, we'd be in a much more peaceful place, right? But we'd be in a place where each one is focused on what can I do with myself and what contribution is this self making. And instead of focusing on criticizing and placing blame and unknowingly being a part of what makes the echo of fear louder and what makes that feeling of resistance and like frustration even bigger. And we actually want to be able to move things. We don't want to just have to fight. We want like successful, lasting change, right? Am I confused? Is that only something that I think we want? Or is that something we want? We want more love and more hope and more peace and more creativity and more freedom and more flexibility for everybody, right? Isn't that what we want? And so if that's what we want, then we need to translate that on individual levels. If we seek collective liberation, and if we seek liberation of our communities and our families and our people and our tribe and our hara and our vecindario and the barrio, and if we want collective liberation, we need to look at liberation as a principle, and that principle of liberation needs to be adopted internally first. Because if you don't have an internal understanding, you won't even recognize it externally. Like, it'll be right in front of you and you'll say, oh no, like I think I'll go for something else. That's what you've been praying for, but you can't recognize it, because the liberation has to come from within. It has to come from inside you so you can recognize it. When they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, it really applies to everything. The same way anger is in the eye of the beholder and ugliness is in the eye of the beholder. Like, whatever you see is a reflection back of what you are, and what you define is what you will be able to identify. And back to the global state of things, if we want liberation and if we want better political situation, and if we want, I'm just say it like this, if we think that the politics doesn't reflect where we are as a collective, we are wrong. because it obviously reflects something real that is happening in a large population of the public right now, which is we keep sacrificing our responsibilities to make life easier, and it just makes us lazy and it makes us unhealthy. And the more unhealthy you are, the more you resonate with trouble. The more unhealthy you are, the more you resonate with drama. The more unhealthy you are, the more you want to fight people. The more unhealthy you are, the more you want to respond by reacting instead of responding. You want a reason to punch someone in the face instead of just punching someone in the face. And we don't need to do all of that if we want to get healthier, if we want to get better as a collective. Because all of that we are experiencing, all of the happenings that are occurring in the world that we are bearing witness to right now, is really from a place of reflection. And the more we try to point the finger and say, well, that's a reflection of you, not a reflection of me, and that's blah, 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 the further away we get from the point, and the longer we experience this shit. All the shit. Whatever you identify as this shit, the longer you're experiencing that. The healthier you are, the more you resonate with health, with happiness, with looking at things and going, with trying to build things instead of destroy. With channeling ideas, individual ideas, new ideas, revolutionary ideas even, and not just recycling everything that you have been consuming. So if we look at health as civic responsibility, how do you take care of your health? Well, number one, you take care of your consumption, right? And consumption, not just food. What are you intaking? Whatever news channel you watch is not the only perspective on the situation. If you really want to know the state of things, you'd have a much better time like going down to a bus stop and just talking to somebody. If you gauge on an individual level, and if we have these individual real life contacts, like at the bus station and at the supermarket, and if we put a little bit of humanity back into day to day, I think it'll be significantly easier to recover our health as a collective. Another angle I would love to introduce this vision to you all in is the planet as a whole. You know, there's like maps of deforestation and where the climate change is moving forests to deserts, and the ghost forests that are basically just dying off because of the change in temperatures or resources or water quality. So we see this like map of the whole world, and the only vision that we keep receiving from Hollywood movies is about AI taking over and technology being king, and like us being slaves to technology. And to be honest, it's like such a boring visual for me. I think like I'm so uninterested in like another Armageddon. It's like, oh, fuck, we've been through this shit, and this is nothing inspiring for me. And I would love if you guys would look up who's producing these movies, and you'll see they're probably a lot of the same money that's producing this same narrative, because it interests a certain public with money that is already in play for certain things. And there's intentions to all of it. But what if we envision the future as Earth recovering? Oh my God. As Earth being like really healthy again, as trees blooming, as us. I would love to this is what I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about people like just discovering new species of things, new plants. I was watching Pole to Pole with Will Smith, and you know, that anaconda they trapped was like a unknown species, and I'm like, wow, how many more breakthroughs are there gonna be? How many more flowers are we gonna find? How many more beautiful trees are we gonna be? Whoa, oh my God, beautiful colors, they exist, it's real. Because if we turn our attention to that, we'll keep finding these things. But if we turn our attention to, oh, we're all going to be slaves and blah, 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 don't be surprised if it unfolds. But if that's the only thing you have in your creativity as reality, then maybe try to focus more on being here and on being present and less on the reality. If we seek liberation as a principle, how do you envision liberation in the future? What is a liberated Sudan? What is a liberated Palestine? What is what is an empowered version of your community? What does that look like? What is empowerment? What is liberation? Because a lot of times when these things aren't addressed, if power just switches hands, then all of a sudden we are in exactly the same dynamic but reversed. So now the oppressed is the oppressor, and it's just a perpetual cycle because nobody got more creative than to think of another narrative. So also for the creatives and the people who like daydreaming and making art or just smoking a little weed or taking a little whatever, why don't you use that energy to envision what is a different potential that this world could look like, right? How can we use all of the advances we have to the fullest? Where can nature and technology intersect in the most beautiful way? Because technology isn't inherently evil, it's just what we do with it, right? So the healthier we are, the better choices we make, the more we resonate with health. When you are healthy and when you're sick and you're around all sick people, it's like, it's all cool, it's all hunky-dory, it's all cut from the same cloth. And then as soon as you start getting better, you will not resonate. It's the same way like once an alcoholic gets sober, now just being with the alcoholics but not drinking, like I can't really mix in those worlds, right? It doesn't make sense. The same happens with health. So the healthier you get, the less likely we are to see all that shit happening as it's happening. All the Voldemortification, all the shit that must not be named because it fucks the algorithm. Okay? As we get healthier, we make better choices, we have better resonance, and we gravitate towards better things. And let's just go to your personal life to illustrate this topic real quick. Like, think about something that you really didn't like when you were younger. And then when you got older, you're like, oh, like this isn't bad. Like this is a really good fruit. Or actually, I love running or whatever. Yes, because you got healthier, because a part of your mind said, you know what? I would like to explore. I'm curious. Curiosity is beautiful. Exploration is beautiful. You know, when we're being honest about where we're going and why we're going there. So this was a little roundabout way of introducing health as a civic responsibility, health as one dimension of your political responsibility, because I really truly believe in my heart of hearts and my whole body and my whole Sid and my whole being that the healthier we are, the easier this life shit gets. And actually, I will say I'm a living testimony, because if you knew me before, I'm proud of where we come from and I'm proud of all the journey to get here. But it was confronting all the ways I was sick. So, if you made it here, thank you. And if you took anything away from that, thank you. And if you have a opposite opinion, please let me know so we can discuss and have a real conversation, because I obviously think all of these ideas sound really good in my head by myself. Anyway, it's snowing. Maybe the last snow of the year. It's global warming because we're unhealthy. Anyway, enjoy. And if you have any questions, send them my way.